So today we're going to talk about strengths and a little bit about me and the person that's going to be standing in front of you for the next hour-ish or so. Right now I am the Talent Solutions Practice Leader at Randstad RiseSmart, as Cindy mentioned, but there's a lot more to me than that. And one of my strengths is authenticity. So I'm also all of these other things. So I'm a mama bear to this awesome kiddo. Halloween. Don't ask what he is. It's totally made up. I'm a wife to this handsome man. I'm a dog and cat mom to these creatures. I love the beach. I love my coffee. I'm a curiosity seeker. I'm a fun lover. So I've got my little casual picture here, and I actually have that same Stojo reusable cup here with me today. But I'm all of these things, and authenticity is one of my strengths that I like to bring to any kind of discussion, and I hope today that we will uncover and bring out in the room the strengths that you have. So the way I'm choosing to apply my talents right now is with this company called Randstad RiseSmart. I've been there about 9 months. I've been working in the career space now for about 14 years, coming up on 15 years as an executive coach and working in careers. And what we do is essentially this little corner of this pie right here around internal mobility. I specialize in helping companies to be able to work with their people to help them find careers within the company. So in the end, I get to help people find new places to follow their interests and their talents. And it gets me in front of a lot of interesting stories of people. Where's Dominique? I was talking to Dominique before the session. She was telling me a little bit about her rotational program at Western Digital. So I just collect all kinds of interesting stories like that. So thank you for that. You'll have to ask her about it at break. So what we'll be doing today is talking about uncovering your strengths. And we'll start, of course, with a little bit of history. That's where I like to begin, and looking back at different places in the past and things we can call upon in the future. We'll be going through an exercise to identify your goals to apply to your strengths, and then actually uncovering your strengths using some tools here in the room, and then communicating them. So each one of you at your place should have, or nearby, a index card and a full sheet of paper. If you don't, there's some nearby. Make sure you get those. Okay, so we'll be using those. And we'll be doing all these things today through a very interactive session. We'll be doing it through collaborations with the people around you, and through developing meaningful connections, and through storytelling. So it will be an interesting hopefully, I can't promise it, I shouldn't promise that, but hopefully it will be an interesting session. As a coach, my job is to not tell you, not lecture to you, but instead to assume that all of the knowledge and all of the wisdom is here in the room among you. And my job is to bring it out of you and to bring it forth. So that's what we'll be doing today. So let's start with a little bit of history. I was thinking about women who historically have had a big impact and how they've had a big impact. And to be perfectly authentic and honest with you, I'm not a historian. I'm curious about history, but it's not my specialty. So there's probably people in the room that know a whole lot more about these fabulous ladies, Cleopatra the Seventh and Indira Gandhi, than I do. But I thought both of them were really interesting examples of women who've used their strengths to make an impact. So Cleopatra, she had this ability to connect with people. I didn't realize until I was reading up for this that she was the first pharaoh to actually learn the Egyptian language, the language of her people. None of the pharaohs had done that before her. And so she had this ability to influence and to communicate not only with her own people, but she spoke several languages and to communicate with other cultures. And it helped at a time when she was trying to lead a group of people through a famine and through threatening threats from the Roman Empire. And there were just many ways in which she used that gift of communication. And Indira Gandhi, another example of a woman who was able to be able to communicate and use her power of communication and speak up as a woman at a time when women were still trying to gain some pretty basic rights in her country. And she had the ability to influence in areas and to centralize and bring people together in a way that hadn't been done in the past. So let's talk a little bit about you then, and what you want to do with your strengths. So we're going to start with the index card, and on the index card is a place for you to write a goal. So what you're going to do is think of a goal. We talked a little bit about how 5 and 10-year plans are such a thing of the past. I was just talking with somebody about that. So why don't you think of a goal that you would like to accomplish in the next few months to a year? It could be personal, it could be professional, but just write it on the card in front of you in the place where it says goal. Hold on to those goals. We will come back to those later in the discussion. But we're going to turn now and talk a little bit about strengths and some of the tools you can use to uncover your strengths. There's no shortage in the world of assessment tools that can be used for strengths. These are a couple of my favorites, and I included a QR code for each of these that you can capture and go directly to either the StrengthsFinder website or to this article from the Forbes Coaches Council. So assessments are excellent tools. They give us really good data and objective data about what makes us tick. The StrengthsFinder, has anybody taken that? Okay, so about half the room. So you know then, the results of that are very easy to interpret, they're simple to understand, and very easy to put into action. This QR code will take you to a link to some free tools that the Forbes Coaches Council put together in an article. The StrengthsFinder is about $50, I think, to take it. But either way, there's access to data. You've probably also taken some assessments through work, like the DISC assessment or the MBTI assessment, and all of those will give you really good data. Another good source of information, quite honestly, are your past performance reviews to see what the people you work with every day are saying that your strengths are, and pulling those strengths out of that feedback that you're getting. So while all of this is really, really good data, and data is great, I love data, but so is your own story. Your story is also very powerful. So we're going to do an exercise that will help you to come up with and be able to articulate your story of strength. So this is called a peak experience exercise. And if you think about Ginny Lee's presentation from this morning and the line that went down the middle of her journey and the things that gave her energy that were on top of the line, we're going to take you through an exercise where you're going to identify a few of those things. So this one involves a blank sheet of paper, or the other side of the strengths list where there's some blank space at the bottom. But get out a blank sheet of paper, because we're going to just free form a few ideas, and then we're going to take those ideas and put those on your card. Okay? So on that blank piece of paper, write down 2 or 3 experiences that brought you confidence or pride. These could be personal experiences or professional experiences. So it could be that you helped a neighbor solve a problem. It could be that you led a project at work. I was thinking about it this morning. One of mine that I would put on the list is a project I led probably 18 years ago, where we figured out how to do a project less expensively by flying a dozen of us to Buenos Aires, Argentina for 2 weeks to do the project. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that, and I was very proud of it. So just write down 2 to 3 experiences that from your past that brought you confidence or pride. All right, so looking at those experiences that have brought you confidence or pride, choose the one that makes you the most proud of those on your card. That's probably a quick and easy choice. It's probably very quickly comes to mind as to which makes you the most proud. Now write down on that blank piece of paper next to that and think about as you remember that experience, what were some of the feelings that you had after that experience or after accomplishing that thing? Or even as you're thinking about them now, what are some of those feelings that you're re-feeling or those sensations you're having again? So now, back to your card, that index card, write your story in that space that says experience. Write your story of what was that experience, that pride experience that made you proud or built your confidence. So when you're writing that story, use I statements and focus on your contribution to that, not necessarily what was going on with other people or what other people did, but really focus on what was your contribution to that, and write that in that small space. It should be a brief story. It's not going to be a long story that starts with once upon a time. It should be a brief story, but just a sentence or two that really captures that experience, that thing that made you really proud. You can get a copy of this, but let's talk about applying your strengths through confident communication. So your brand, what is your brand? Well, at RiceSmart, we look at this when it comes to helping people to transition and to apply to new roles internally. And we really look at a few factors that go into a person's brand within the organization, and that is their reputation, how they are known to other people, and also what makes them unique. What are those unique factors that if they were not in the room wouldn't happen? So on your cards, you will see a professional value proposition builder on one side. And it's designed for you to be able to build out your own PVP. I'll log into this in a moment, and this might help you with a little inspiration. But you're going to use that card in front of you and your list of strengths and fill in those blanks on the card in front of you, your own PVP. So on the card, it says, I am a blank, you put in your industry, professional with deep expertise in area of expertise. My strengths include strength 1 and strength 2, and I have achieved 2 accomplishments, and I'm interested in a career goal. So we're going to start pulling it all together. By now, you should have a goal that you wrote at the beginning of this about an hour ago, and you should have an experience story. You should have a list of your strengths, and you should have now a professional value proposition. So one last exercise on your card, just write down one action that you can take, one simple action that you can take to get you one step closer to that goal that you identified when we first started. So it might not get you all the way there. It might not get you halfway there, but based on your goal, your experience story, your strengths, and your professional value proposition, what's one single action that you can take that will just get you one step closer to that goal? And write that on the bottom of your card. So does everybody have an action? Today we've been on a little bit of a learning journey. We've talked about some goals. We've identified a few strengths that you have. What you did today was about a day's worth of workshop material that we went through in about an hour. So you will probably, I hope you will continue this journey over lunch, and I hope you will continue this journey with some of the people in this room, perhaps some new networking contacts. It has been an honor to be here with you and to facilitate this great dialogue, and I wish you all the best in your career journeys. Thank you.